How's it going, everyone? We're here to check out another update this month for Rust. And it's kind of a smaller update, but we do have a whole new DLC, and this time it's not just a building skin, it is a full-on decoration DLC for all the role players out there. So we'll go ahead and get into that in the end of this video. Before we get into that, there's some cool things like, as you can see in front of us, the above and below rail linking networks. And yeah, this allows trains to connect from above to below. There's going to be 2 per map typically. So as you can see, we'll go ahead and just get rid of these markers. So you can see it has its own special marker on the map. There's the other one. There's typically 2 per map. Of course, I think if you have a huge map, more might generate, or maybe only 2 are allowed right now. But that's how that's kind of going to go on with that. And with that, there's also been some changes with the actual trains. So if we go ahead and cruise on down in here, man, that is a tunnel. Train signals work. Yeah, look at that. So these lights will turn green or red or yellow depending on what's going on. You'll see there's like a little diagram here, and you know what, you guys can kind of figure that out on your own. And basically it's going to tell you if it's blocked, or if there's something going to be in the way, or if you're clear to go. So pretty straightforward from that, but hey, that's how that kind of goes with that. But that means trains can mix now, so how do you guys feel about that? Alright, and next up, we've got a new map, and it's being used on official servers. It's called Observer Island. It's made by Wheatley and team, and yeah, they've just done an amazing job. And yeah, this map, it just has a lot of stuff going on with it. There's some really beautiful pictures here, and yeah, I recommend you guys jump on, explore it yourself, check it out. It's definitely a really, really cool thing. There's supposed to be, I believe, 2 EU servers and 1 US official server, but anyone else can host them, so I'm sure some other ones will pop up as well, which is definitely a nice thing. That there's always a new map, and you know, when you have a handcrafted map, there's always some special things to it here and there, like arch rocks, special hidden rock bases, and stuff like that. It's definitely a map that's worth checking out. Alright, and before we head off to the last thing, there are a couple things out in the distance that are worth mentioning and are pretty interesting. Looks like there's work being done on a power plant version 2. Looks like power plant is getting a revamp, so hey, that might be something good. It is older monument, and I feel like loot could be better for the radiation, so hey, maybe they'll be touching that. Maybe they'll be adding a really special feature to it, who knows. But one way or another, there's some work being done on that. Then, in addition to all of that, there's been work done on a metal detector of some sort that can be found to dig up loot. So I'm not sure what that will be part of. It's its own branch right now, so it's not testable or anything like that, but it's popped up in quite a few commits, so I figured I would mention it. Then in addition to that, there's something called the Legacy Bow and the B shotgun, or the Benelli shotgun. So it seems like we're either getting a weapon skin pack of the old weapons from Rust Legacy, or they're adding in new weapons. I have no idea. They're on their own branch. The word DLC isn't attached to it. The word skin isn't attached to it. So I don't know. These could be brand new weapons, or they could be just skins. But one way or another, definitely a very cool thing, and I'll be keeping an eye on it for you guys to keep you updated with whatever it ends up being. Next up, we have some small but important improvements when it comes to the wire tool. You can now save your attachments. So basically, if we go ahead and come in here, we can do whatever all we want, and then you can hold right click to cancel still, right? As long as you have any kind of connection, you can switch to something, let's say, you know, this other root combiner, and when you switch, you still have your path. As long as you've made one connection, you can then continue it along. And, you know, switch something else. There you go. So we'll put one here. and it stayed. So definitely a very nice one. Also, you can do quick right clicks, I guess, to undo, kind of, in a way. They say a quick right click will now allow you to reconnect previous connections. So there's a little video on the dev blog if you guys want to watch that. It's a little more, I couldn't quite figure out how to get it to work right. But I am still on my staging server, so that could be why. But yeah, that's definitely a nice improvement for the wire tool. Another small thing that is actually very big is items are now parented to vehicles. Well, what does that mean? Well, previously, you don't typically get sucked out of the back of a vehicle if you're in it properly, right? But if you were to say, oh, here, drop me some meds or something, it would fall straight through. Well, now things stay on your vehicle. And this isn't just with helis, it's with boats. I don't know how many times things have been dropped to me on a boat or through the boat or something, and now it sits. But keep in mind, you can weigh down a boat. So if you think you can dump a bunch of things into a boat and then use it to transfer, that's not going to be a thing. Eventually, it will weigh you down to the point where you can't move. Now, a scrap heli obviously can carry more than a boat can, and cars, it depends on the car. So, you know, it's all one of those things. Everyone can experiment with it, but that is definitely a nice change for sure. Alright, and before we get into the DLC, we'll show a few more little things. One of the things is a big change with the jackhammer. It can now actually properly be repaired in a repair bench. You're supposed to actually refill it at a workbench, and there's a refill button, but a lot of people didn't know that, and we're actually repairing it in the repair bench, which actually took more durability and so forth, and wasn't the proper way to fix one. So, well, now it's just the same as using it as a workbench, so you can either do it in the repair bench or the workbench. Equally, it is the same. The other thing is there is now an auto skin kind of thing. So we'll put this in and we'll pick, let's say, the Doodle Jackhammer, right? So now that's the skin we have by default. So if I hold shift and then right click these other jackhammers in, they're going to automatically become Doodle Jackhammers, huh? Hey, very nice. Also, the kind of noise, I think, was taken away because it was causing lag. I think that was the reason why. Anyways, there it is. That's definitely a nice little change. In addition, with that, we have some changes to horses. And ignore the naked horse there. But this horse here, we're going to show you. First, you've got, under examine, you have now 4 equipment slots. That means you could put all these saddlebags in there. Technically, you could put all just saddlebags, but you've got your 4 equipment slots. As you see, everything, you know, of course, weighs it down. And then, boom, I mean, look at that storage. So that's definitely a pretty neat looking thing. That was horrifying to see the inside of that horse for a second through its very empty head, I guess. But yeah, there you have it. So we have a new DLC. The Frontier Decor Pack. So it comes with a bunch of different items. We're going to go through them all and show you how to craft them, etc. So the first thing we're going to go through here is the Frontier doors. So if we go ahead and into your crafting, you can just put in front, and they'll come up. Wooden Frontier bar doors. So yeah, a cheap way to secure your base, but actually you can jump through them. Which we'll show you here in a second. The height is off here, so yeah. But anyways, it has a special animation when you've opened it. Also, I like the help please there. You kind of just bust the door, but you can hold your interact button and kick the door in for some extra added effect. But as you see, you can jump straight through it, so that's not exactly the best kind of, you know, thing right there. Just a little crouch jump and whoops, there you go, crouch jump, and there you go. So anyways, moving on, we've got the rocking chair. It comes in 3 different color variations, and anything that comes in a variation, the way you're going to do it is either when you initially craft, you pick the variation, Or you can change it in the bench should you not like the color. As you can see, you can just change it right here. And this goes for everything with variations. So we have the 3 different rocking chairs. And when you sit in one, they're 100% comfort. And if you press your forward and back, you can rock back and forth in the chair. So there you go. Functional rocking chairs. And then once you give a bit of a momentum to it, it kind of goes on its own. I'm not controlling it anymore. You can see it kind of slows down. So there you have those. Then we've got some planters for you. And the first one here is a large planter skin. This one has the kind of like iron bars. Everything's kind of like a bit of a railroad theme to it. Very cool look to it. Much more kind of industrial, rusty. Then you've got a big old rusty tub planter. This one only has 3. So it's basically, like one of these rows. Then over here, there's the railroad planter, which holds 2 plants. So there you have all of those. Then with that, we have the storage barrels. And there's the horizontal and a vertical one. And as you see, they can all have connections to the industrial system. 4 on each. And this one takes up quite a big space, as you can see. That's actually as close as I could really get it to the wall. So that's just something to consider. The vertical one is, horizontal, a little bit better. You got much more access to it, but then when you use the system with it, you can't really wedge them in there. These barrels do wedge in pretty well. I've seen some pretty creative new loot room designs already from people on these, so I'll definitely be very interested to see what everyone does with that. But to make these not pay to win, the size has been reduced to where they're the same as a large box, and in addition to that, they do cost a little bit more to craft. So if we go ahead and look at our rocking chair, we'll go ahead and look at that one first, and it's 130 wood for that. And then we've got our barrels, and you'll see that it's 300 wood and 75 respectively for that, versus box, which is going to be 250 and 50. So that's the difference there with that. Then if we take a look at the planters, we've got all our different planters here. You've got your railroad planter, which is again pretty much just a skin for that, so it's going to be the same. Then you've got 100 metal frags for the minecart planter and 100 metal frags for the bathtub planter. So they do cost the same, even though this one does have one less spot. One thing to keep into consideration, but it is smaller and it's cool looking. Most of this is for decoration anyways, right? So speaking of decorations, the next thing is going to be the individual weapon racks, which you can see here, and they come in 3 different versions. There is the kind of like little industrial one, then you have the birch branch, and then you've got your kind of rustic wood one. And previously when I'd shown these, you weren't able to actually put any kind of like raiding weapons on them, and it looks like now they hold any weapon that the other weapon racks hold. So that's something to keep into consideration there. Then with these, we also have something that a lot of people have been begging for. The torch holder is finally a thing, and with it you can put in any of the torches, and basically as they run, they will use up their energy, there we go, as they're in there. So you'll see these ran a little bit, and you'll see there's a tiny bit missing. I left this one on and it actually disappeared completely. So when it is done, it does pop out of it. And as you can see, you can just hold down your interact. And there we have those. So definitely a very cool thing that a lot of people have wanted. It's in a DLC. I know a lot of people probably wish this one was just in the default part of the game. Next up, we've got the wanted posters, and these are a fun little thing. You can just literally put up wanted posters of actual players, and what you do is you just hold down take photo, and then you can pick anyone that's on your friends list there, and boom, it puts them on the poster. And if you don't like it, you can just hold clear, and boom, they're gone. And yeah, it comes in different variations. You got this giant one, and then you've got the various kind of little medium-sized ones. And yeah, the cool thing is they'll actually show the person's name and so forth. And as you can see, we got stuck in the barrel. But yeah, it comes in these 4 different variations right here. We go ahead and take a look at the crafting. You got your wanted poster right here, and it's just going to be 20 wood. There are all 4 of the different ones you can pick. If you don't like one, you can pick it back up and change it in the repair bench, just like I mentioned earlier. So there's that right there. And then we have, of course, the rack. You're looking at 50 wood and 20 metal frags, workbench level 1, then 75 metal frags, and 30 bone fragments for the frontier horns. Ah ha ha. It's funny, there's no wood used for it, even though that looks like birch. One way or another, I'm not going to complain. There's a use for bone fragments. So, hey, that's something right there, right, everyone? Then, if we go ahead and check out our last thing here, it's going to be the skinning knife and our trophies. So, the first trophy set doesn't require the skinning knife. All it requires is you to craft it, and it's the fish trophy. And this can hold any of the fish that exist in the game. And you just pop them right in there. Alright, so you place it down, open it up, take your fish of selection, and boom, you're set to go. But if you notice, it does say use. So if you hold E, you can open it and take your fish out. But if you press E,
I'm just a fish, I can't read your base. So why did you put that hook in my face?
So there you go. Singing many fishes, not just Billy Bass. Alright, then we have the actual trophy heads. So you've got the large mounts and the small mounts, and then you have the skinning knife. So, of course, we're going to go in here, and if you look under weapons, it's going to be, boom, right there under new, skinning knife, 75 metal frags, 20 damage, attack rate of 86, range is 1.5, and flesh gather is 18. Now, this is extremely good at harvesting flesh and can produce trophies. So there you go. You need one of these to get an actual trophy. If you skin with anything else, you're not going to be getting it, even if you have the DLC. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to kill something. So we have this. This is what our poor other naked horse is for. Walk away, everyone. It's okay. And boom, head bag. So there's your head bag, and see, it says horse, and it keeps the breed of the horse. Has a squish squash sound effect. And basically what you do is you attach your mount to a wall. Do we have a free space still? We do over here. And then you have your head. Once you've put it in, you have to mount it. Once it's mounted, it is what it is in there, right? And apparently you can keep submitting more to it. So this is actually a cool thing. If we go ahead and check it out, you can keep adding and adding to it because it keeps track. Horse times 1. So you can keep track of how many boars you've killed for the season or whatever, that kind of thing. Or how many times you've killed a person. And that's where the small mounts come on in, because you can actually put the chicken and NPCs and players. And the cool thing about players is whatever mask they were wearing when you decapitate them, so to say, with this knife, they'll be wearing. So if they had a wolf headdress or whatever, for instance, I was wearing a metal face mask. Now, it doesn't seem to save skins. I don't know if that's something they'll plan on doing or not, but the fact that it just knows what they were wearing is really, really cool. You don't lose the item or anything. It just, you know, makes a copy of it, so to say. It's not something you can retrieve. It's just a head bag. But yeah, it's definitely a very cool thing. You can have your little trophies going on. And yeah, you can do the shark as well, which is fun. And if you go ahead and just type in trophy, you'll see the fish trophies are 75 wood, 150 for the large, and 100 for the small trophy. So there you go. That is the trophy collection. And the last piece to this DLC. Now, there were also some mirrors they were working on, but they just were killer for performance, so they were pulled and will be part of something later on, most likely, if they can get them optimized. But for right now, there you have it. That's the DLC, everyone. Also, another thing I forgot to mention, planters can be picked up now. That is just amazing. So you can actually pick up planters. Again, a very small thing, but very, very nice. And lastly, when you look at your weapon in a container, you see how much ammo is in it. You no longer have to drag it to your inventory to check and figure it out. You can also unload and so forth from it, which is very nice. Again, just a little tiny quality of life thing, but a nice one. That does it for everything, everyone. So I hope you found something that you like, either with the update or the DLC. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to check out my skin video if you haven't already. As always, stay rusty and have a good one.